Hello, everyone. A very good morning to one and all who's present here today. A story is like a river, it flows from the heart of the teller to the soul of the listener, carrying emotions, memories, and wisdom along its journey. So, today we are here on a Sunday morning in Chennai Storytelling Festival 2025 13th edition and third week. So let's celebrate stories together. This festival is not just an event, it is a gathering of hearts and voices where every tale tells a home in the mind of its listener. Whether you are here to tell, to listen, or simply to be present, you are the part of this magical storytelling circle. So let's begin with our very first teller, Salome D. She is from Mumbai, and the title of her story is I Am Here Now. Salome means peace, and today she brings us a story that speaks of being present in the moment, embracing life as it unfolds. They say yesterday is a history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, and that's why it is known as present. So over to you, Salome, for the beautiful story.
Okay, thank you so much, Hital. And I love your way of, the way you've been introducing people over yesterday, today with the meanings of their names. I mean, it just goes to show the effort you've taken. So, yes, it is Salome, and Salome is peace.
I'm sorry.
So, thank you so much. Thank you, Sheetal, for that beautiful introduction. So thank you so much. And first and foremost, Eric, thank you for this beautiful platform. Thank you to all those who have come in on this Sunday morning to listen to stories. I think without the audience, no teller is a teller. So thank you so much. Okay. So yes, I'm excited to share this story. It's the second time I'm sharing this story, and I think as I was going through it and as I narrated it earlier, I think every time the story is told, it peels off another layer of the onion. So uh, thank you so much. Yes, without any further ado. Okay, I just need a thumbs up in terms of am I audible?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. The 9 months that I carried him, I always felt it was her. The kicks were so hard, I could see the impression of two tiny feet being formed on my tummy. Everyone said, it's surely a footballer, but I still believed it was her. After 7 hours in labor, this little bundle was born in the wee hours of the morning on 11th November 2008. And this bundle was not a girl. This bundle was a scrawny, wee little 2.9 kilo baby boy. After a strenuous day, when he was finally brought to me, and when his two deep eyes met my tired eyes at the hospital bed, there was something they were trying to say, something they were trying to tell me. And in that moment of pain and tiredness, all I could figure out was, I'm here now. I'm here now. Late nights, colic, breastfeeding, along with my really demanding job in human resources, took its toll on me. Took its toll on me but not as much as the red flags. Red flags I had seen early on in marriage as well as through my pregnancy. I remember some nights laying my hands on my tummy through all those times and talking to this person in my tummy. We will do this together. We will do this together. So, on a cold night in December 2009, when my ex husband finally walked out on us, I caressed my baby in my arms, and those deep eyes spoke to me again and said the same thing. I'm here now. The next few years, as he turned 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, were like a roller coaster. My emotions felt like the knob of an old radio, constantly on, just that at every point in time, I was tuned into a different frequency. 107.1, 93.5. It just kept turning. Calls and gifts continued, but after he turned 8, they suddenly stopped. And all these years, not once did I ever check with my little bundle of joy about the absence of his father. But I could tell from certain questions that he probably missed it or he was confused. So, yes, those two tiny feet that were punching my tummy did turn out to be an absolute football freak. And on one such match, after he came home when he was about 8.5, 9, he innocently came home and said, Mama, all the daddies were there. All the daddies were there. And he stopped. But I knew what the latter half of his sentence meant. It meant mine wasn't. I knew at this point in time that I needed to speak to him. I moved to our room. I shut the door. I sat him down and asked, if he were to come back, darling, would you feel different? No, ma, not really. Because he's coming back for me and not for you. That was my catharsis moment. In his innocent little language, what this boy tried to tell me was, if he doesn't respect and love my mum, why come for me? I felt a sense of half the battle won. It's unexplainable why I felt, but yeah. Conversations with this tiny little boy have been easy, thereon, and not uncomfortable as I thought they would be. I wanted a girl, maybe a little sister that I never had. But God chose me for a reason to raise a boy. A boy who will someday become a husband, a father, a son in law, take up a religious vocation, but I'm confident that whatever he takes up, he will be successful and fabulous at it. Today, he is a strapping 6-footer, all of 17, and has been my inspiration to live, my inspiration to take up storytelling, my inspiration to do so much that I do in life. Now, when the music is playing at home, and we sometimes break off into an impromptu, endearing jig, in those moments of closeness, his deep eyes still look at me and say the same thing they said on the day he was born. I'm here now.
Hey Salome, it's a very emotional story.
Yeah,
You can please be back. Yes.
yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I would react like that.
That's absolutely fine. Don't worry. Yes, Salome.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, as I said, it just peels off a different layer, and I mean, it's just the power in stories. So yeah, thank you.
Superb, superb. That was an amazing story, Salome.
Okay, I got you all on an emotional early in the morning, so yeah. But
Okay.
thank you for listening. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for sharing this story with us. Yes, anybody from the audience would like anything to say?
Saloni, hello. Sheetal, may I?
Yes, please, please, please.
Hello. I'm sorry, my video switched off for a while.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Saloni, your story touched me, but those I feel tears of happiness.
Yeah,
You are a rocking mother.
yeah.
Keep smiling. You are strong, resilient, and thriving. You should be proud of yourself. Your
Yes.
son, your son is a proud son, and you are a proud mother. You are no less than any other mother. You have done
Yes.
wonders, and cheers to you as a mother.
Thank you, ma'am.
And put that smile in your face. You need to smile because you are an
Yes,
example for many. An
yes.
example. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful story.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Veena. Thank you.
I can see your hand raised. Rachel?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. It was a moving story. It's a real tribute to your love for your son, his love for you. You told it so well. Your pacing was wonderful. Your voice and expressiveness were wonderful. When your son said, you captured how sad he was that his father wasn't there, but you captured the depth of his understanding way beyond his years when
Yeah,
he said, no, I would not want my father to come back for me if he does not honor you and love you.
yeah.
And it was so powerful. And I am moved, and the tears that came are also moving. They're part of the story. And they are a way of looking back at your whole history. And the tears, your story says so much, but your tears say what words can't say. And it's an inspiring story. And your refrain, I'm here now, it's just so powerful and works so well. There was so much honesty, and strength, and very well done.
Super.
Thank you so much, Rachel. The tears were not a part of the script.
Yes, sometimes it comes out, we don't realize it, the emotions. That's okay, that's absolutely fine. Yes, Pratigya, to you.
Hi, Salome. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I couldn't switch my video on. Salome, of course, I'm totally in line with all that Rachel said. Beautifully told, well paced, well thought through. It takes a lot to share a personal story, especially a story like this one. Uh, Really brave of you, courageous of you to share this with us. And the first thought that came to my mind is your son is a reflection of what you are. So if you're proud of him, then as Rachel said, you should be proud of yourself because he is what you are. So beautiful. More power to you, girl. More power to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
I go with Pratigya that it is very difficult to say your own personal story. I mean, yes, I could never say the negative, the lower side of my story ever. I have always told about the positive sides of my story. So, yes, it is very, very, something to tell your own this kind of a story. So, yes, 3 cheers to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this the first time also that I shared a story on this platform was a personal narrative, which was about 3 years ago, and the power that it had, because after that I met a couple of people at different forums across, and there have been at least 2 or 3 people who have come and said, thank you for sharing. We remember your story. It's given us so much of inspiration. So, which is why I think this platform is so beautiful because, uh, you know, I'm not sure whether exposing is the right word, but just sharing your vulnerability peels off so many layers for yourself as a storyteller. So I think thank you to this platform that I have explored so many personal narratives and got in touch with, so many beautiful souls. I mean, I may not have met everybody physically, but it's such a beautiful platform. So I think personal narratives, if we all explore it, it will bring out so much of our. I don't know. It can change the world. So thank you so much.
Super. Thank you so much, Salome, for this beautiful story. And let's move on to our next teller of the day. So I feel stories are like bridges, between the past and the present, carrying lessons, laughter, and sometimes a touch of mystery. Our next teller is Lavanya Prasad from Bangalore. The name Lavanya means grace or beauty, and true to her name, she brings grace to every story she tells. Today she brings us Killing Death, a mythological tale with I smell something, Lavanya. Okay, so what secret lies within this ancient stories? We are so eager to hear from you, Lavanya. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I just want to know if the audio is fine. Can you hear me clear? Good, great. So first of all, Salome, big hugs from Bengaluru to you. Such a lovely, moving story. And the power of a mother is something that nobody can match. So hats off to you and thank you for sharing a slice of your life with us. So to everyone who is here today to listen to the stories that we are going to share, a big thank you from the bottom of my heart. So this story is a mythological tale from India. It has got a beautiful relevance to something which I will be sharing soon. But before I start, I want to read a small poem for you all. Listen carefully because the poem has got something to do with the story that I'm going to share. Glowing in beauty, a flower speaks out In my pond of fragrance lies the answer beyond doubt. Glowing in beauty, a flower speaks out. In my pond of fragrance lies the answer beyond doubt. The serpent king guards in a graceful curve the very Lord himself that the rishis serve. The serpent king guards in a graceful curve the very Lord himself that rishis serve. The 5 petals hold the Panchakshara, and cannonballs seeds sway Hara Hara Hara. The 5 petals hold the Panchakshara, and the cannonball seeds sway Hara Hara Hara. Behold this beauty, a shining pink. Believe me, friends, you will forget to blink. Behold this beauty, a shining pink. Believe me, friends, you will forget to blink. So with this poem, let me get into the story. In India, we have the trinities, the creator, the destroyer, and the protector. We call them the 3 trinity or the gods. The creator is Brahma, the protector is Mahavishnu, and the destroyer is Shiva. With this context, let me get into the story. Shiva married Sati, and Sati had to go to her father's house for a yajna without an invitation because Sati's father did not like Sati marrying Shiva. But when she went to her father's house, she was humiliated. And in that humiliation, she jumped herself into the sacrificial fire to give away her life. Shiva, the destroyer, was furious. He did his Rudra Thandava and went into a very trance state. But the entire universe was in a standstill because without Shiva and his consort, the world will not function. So the mythology says Sati reincarnated as Parvati and rejoined Shiva as his wife. And now Shiva was a happy man with Parvati by his side. He was so happy. They were going around, seeing the beauty everywhere. There was peace restored in the world, but Shiva forgot what he had to do with a new wife by his side. Things were excellent for him. But then there was a problem. Shiva was also a yogi, a person who always did deep meditation. And in that deep meditation, there was this halo that was around him every time. But as the days went, as Shiva's time was spent more with Parvati, his wife, the luster that he gained began to dim because he forgot totally about the meditation with a beautiful wife next to his side. It dawned on him that it was time for him to go back and meditate. And so he called out to Parvati and said, "Hey, Parvati, you be here in this place, Mount Kailasha, that is our abode, along with all the rishis here and my assistant Nandi to serve you. But I will have to go, my darling, to do my meditation so that I get back the luster that will make this place more beautiful." And so they say Shiva was off to do his meditation. He went and sat down in meditation, deep meditation. He meditated upon the mountains. He meditated under the Pathala Loka. And he meditated in the hot sun. Nothing was in his mind except this deep meditation. And in the process, as he was sitting there and closing his eyes and meditating deeply, the sweat that came from the heat of the sun, the sweat that Shiva generated, fell down, a drop of that sweat fell down to the earth. And then there was a beautiful tree that emerged out of it. A tree with seeds or fruits like cannonballs and flowers that carried such fragrance. This tree, they say, came out of Shiva's sweat after deep meditation. Now let's park this here and let me take you back to the earth. And in earth, there was a rishi. Mrikanda was his name. He and his wife Manaswini were very happy together, except they had this one small icha or, eagerness that they wanted to have a child. Manaswini, the one who really wanted to be a mother, looked at her husband and said, "Why don't you go and pray to Lord Shiva? You tell me that he's Ashutoshi, somebody who would grant wishes and his heart just fills with love for his devotees. Why don't you go and pray to Lord Shiva?" Mrikanda did that. He went straight to the forests and he started to pray to Lord Shiva. Om Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. He called out to the Supreme with all the names. Ashutoshi that Shiva was, he knew he would be pleased. Vishveshwaraya, the one who's the ruler of this universe. Mahadevaya, the one who is the God of gods. Trayambakaya, the one who have the eyes like the moon and the sun, and the third eye where the fire emanates from. Tripurantakaya, the one who destroyed Tripura. Trikagnikalaya, the one whose transcends beyond time. Kalagnirudraya, the one whose anger cannot be tolerated. Neelakantaya, the one who drank poison and got a blue throat so that the earth and everybody will be saved. Mrityunjayaya, the one who is the killer of death. Sarveshwaraya, you are the God of this universe. Sadashivaya, Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. O Mahadeva, Sadashiva, I pray to you, please come down. Don't you hear my pleas? Of course, Shiva, the one who is easily pleased, Ashutoshi, came down and said, Mrikanda, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with your devotion. Tell me what you want, and I will give you that. Mrikanda said, what else do I ask for? My wife and I are yearning for a son, a child. It could be a daughter or a son. We don't mind. Just grant us that boon, my lord. Shiva smiled and he said, yes, I grant you. Let me grant you a son. But then there is a condition, Mrikanda. you get a choice. You either can have a son who is intelligent, who will be well versed in all the Vedas and the Shastras, but will not live beyond 16 years of age, or you get a son who's dull-witted, but live with you for ages and ages. Which one do you prefer? Without hesitating, Brikanda said, I want the righteous son, the one who would be intelligent and pass this knowledge to this world. It is a little sad that he will not live after 16 years of age, but I'm at least happy that he will be of some use to this universe. Grant me a son who is virtuous, my dear Lord. So be it, Tathastu, said Lord Shiva, and disappeared. Well, like you all guessed, Mrikanda and Manaswini gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and they named him Markandeya. Markandeya was the righteous one, the one who learned all the Vedas and the Shastras, and the one who went around telling his father's teachings like a guru himself. But as his 15th birthday ended, he went to his parents to seek blessings, and that is when he had his mother and father crying out loud. He was a little surprised. I'm here to seek your blessings, Amma, Appa. Why should you be sad? The mother could not take it any longer. She just looked at the son and said, what do I tell you, Markandeya? What do I tell you? In the yearning for a son, your father and I prayed to Lord Shiva, and he granted us this boon. But then the boon that we got out of our selfishness is going to take away your life, my son. How will we live without you in this world? I really don't know what to do. I just hope that Ashutoshi, Lord Shiva, shows us some grace and give us our son. Give long life to our son. Well, Markandeya was shocked. But then at the same time, he also knew that he was born out of deep devotion of Mrikanda to Lord Shiva. So he just kept everything aside. The intelligent boy that he was went to his parents and said, bless me so that I will go and pray to Lord Shiva. I will go and pray so that he will take away the fear of death from inside me. I'm sure he will listen to my prayers if he had listened to yours, Appa. And so, with the blessings of his mom and dad, Markandeya left into the forest to meditate upon Lord Shiva. It is said that the creator Brahma came down to earth to teach a shloka to Markandeya, which is called as the Mahamrityunjaya Stotra, which when recited is believed to take away the fear of death from inside one. I'm just going to recite it for you. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityor muksheyamamrithat trayambakam yajamahe sugandim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityur muksheyamamrithat. It simply means, O Divine One, the one who smells of sweet fragrance, just like how the gourd detaches itself from the stem when it is time. Give me the intelligence that my soul will detach from this body, but will come to you. Give me that knowledge. So Markandeya went inside the forest. He made a Shivalinga out of mud, and he sat down, prayed to Lord Shiva, chanting this Mahamrityunjay mantra every single day. It is believed, my dear people, as Markandeya was going around roaming in the forest to find flowers to offer to the Lord, he came across this beautiful tree. The tree that he had never seen anywhere. The tree that was so divine, that was so different. He plucked the flowers out of this tree and he went and offered it to Lord Shiva. For 1 whole year, Markandeya was there sitting and chanting the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. When it was his 16th birthday, the Lord of Death sent his messengers down to the earth. He called out to them and said, "Please go and get me the soul of Markandeya. He is right there in the forest meditating. It is time for his soul to reach to me for evaluation." And so the messengers went down, but they were not able to near Markandeya, for the power of the mantra that he has been chanting all these years had made a circle of protection around him. Unable to fulfill the task that the master has given them, the messengers of the god of death, Lord Yama, went back to him and said, "We are unable to approach him. Why don't you only go?" Now Lord Yama has never seen anything like this. And so he decided to go in his Vahana, the buffalo, seated. He approached Markandeya. Markandeya, when he saw Yama, was scared. He told him, "I know you're here for my soul, but I also know that my Lord will be here to save me. Don't you dare, Yama, to come near me, because Shiva, the destroyer, is who is going to protect me today." Well, this triggered Yama's ego, I should say. And he just looked at Markandeya and said, "Not even Shiva can stop me from taking away the soul. You better come with me right now." But then Markandeya was there hugging Lord Shiva, the Shivalinga, and he called out to him for help. "ஒன்றுமே பயன் இல்லை என்று உணர்ந்த பின்பவர் உண்டென்பார். ஒன்றுமே பயன் இல்லை என்று உணர்ந்த பின்பவர் உண்டென்பார். ஒவ்வொரு மனிதனும் ஒரு நாளின் நிலை எதுவதுருதி இதை அறிவாய். அன்ற செயலிழந்திடம் வரும் பொழுது சிவன் பெயர் நாவில் வாராதே. சிவநாமம் சொல்லி பழகு பழகு. Oh, Namah Shivaya. Don't you hear my pleas, oh Shiva? I have been asking you to come to my aid. I'm scared. There is this Yama asking me to come. He's going to take away my soul, my dear Shiva. Won't you come to me? And at that time, as Yama took his nose and put it around Markandeya, the nose fell on the Shivalinga too. And when he tried to pull it, out emerged Shiva. Out emerged Shiva from the linga, took his trident, hit on the chest of Shiva, and killed Yama, the Lord of Death. Yes, the Lord of Death was no more. And after that, Shiva was known as Kala Kala, the one who destroyed the death and time. But then things in the earth was complete mess. Because nobody was dying, the evil was rising, nobody was scared of death anymore, because they know when Yama comes and takes the soul away, he puts it for evaluation, understanding the rights and the wrongs that you have done. And according to the Hindu Shastras, it is believed that the more rights you do, you go directly to heaven. There is a legend, a story that says that Markandeya, along with other devas, prayed to Lord Shiva so that Yama could be resurrected back. And that's what Lord Shiva did. And Markandeya was blessed to be a 16-year-old for the next 7 kalpas, or the 7 eons to follow. Well, this is the story, and because of Markandeya is what we got the Mahamrityunjaya Stotram that all of us chant to take away the fear of death. That is not what it is. Remember the first tale that I told you? When Shiva was meditating, a drop of sweat from Shiva fell on the earth and grew a beautiful tree. And when Markandeya was walking in the forest, he found this strange plant with a beautiful flower. And he used that to pray to Lord Shiva. That flower is this, my dear people. It is called the Nagalinga Pushpa. And you see, I'm going to just take away the background so that you will be able to see the flower better. This is called the Nagalinga Pushpa, which has got the hook, the serpent, and inside the serpent is a small Shivalinga. This is the creation of nature. It looks like this. And the numerous hairs that are surrounding this small linga is believed to be the sages that pray in Mount Kailasha to Lord Shiva. It's the 5 petals here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is supposed to be telling the Panchakshara, Namah Shivaya. Right? So this is the Nagalinga Pushpa or the Nagalinga flower. The mythology associated behind this flower has got a lot to do with death and how you can come out of death. Also understand that your soul is immortal. It is believed that after resurrecting Yama, Yama gave a word to Shiva that anybody who recites this Mrityunjaya Mahamantra will not come to, the soul of that person will not go to Yama for validation, but will go directly to Kailasha. So in India, we believe this mantra has got great potential to understand death and to take the fear of death from all of us. Now, I want to leave you all with a poem that I read for you in the beginning. Now, with the flower. Glowing in beauty, a flower speaks out. In my pond of fragrance lies the answer beyond doubt. Glowing in beauty, a flower speaks out. In my pond of fragrance lies the answer beyond doubt. The serpent king guards in a graceful curve the very Lord himself that the rishis serve. The 5 petals hold the Panchakshara, and the cannonball seeds sway Hara Hara Hara. Behold this beauty, a shining pink. Believe me, friends, you'll forget to blink, didn't you? Now, this is the beautiful story associated behind this marvel of nature, the Nagalinga Pushpa. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed this story.
It was simply amazing story, Lavanya. And I am loaded with questions. I don't know how many I can ask you, but at least I will let me start to ask you. So the very first thing, is this flower growing around your place?
Yes. So that is how the story came to me. So this flower is not seen anywhere. I mean, you don't get to see this flower just like that. They say that it is predominantly, grown in temples, Shiva temples as sometimes. I don't know which Shiva temples though. But what happened was last year, I used to take a walk around this area, my house, and last year during the month of February, I was just walking and there was this amazing fragrance that just stopped me and made me look at a tree. And there I saw these beautiful flowers, so many of them. And I was wondering what these flowers are. And some of them had fallen to the ground. So I just took and saw, and I was shocked because it literally looked like a Shivalinga. Now, I want to show you this once again. If you can see, it's exactly how this is. There is a linga, there is a serpent guarding the linga, and this is exactly how the flower looks. The serpent with the linga in center and the tiny hairs that are surrounding it is to be the rishis and the munis that pray. So this flower is said to replicate Mount Kailasha itself. Nature's beauty, I should say. And I was like, okay, what flower is this? I want to find out the story behind this flower. And that is how I went and found that this was Nagalinga Pushpa. And when I started to dig about the story, the Markandeya story is something that we have heard, but how this flower came to be, and it was Markandeya who first found this flower, was a learning for me. And I was wondering what to, the CSF, every CSF, like Salome said, it's a platform where we hunt and try to find stories where we can, share something new to the amazing story lovers from around the world. So I think the Nagalinga flower called out to me, and you were all, blessed to be receiving the story from whoever it is in this world. I mean, the spiritual power, whichever spiritual power it is. So thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any questions, I would love to.
So, when you started with the Sati story, I have been reading it in Bhagavad Gita. Now I have to check for this flower if Bhagavad Gita has anything about this flower. I will get back to you.
Please do, and let me know too.
Sure. Over to you, audience.
May I?
Yes, please, Lipika.
Well, this flower I've been seeing from my childhood.
Ah.
When we go to the park, it is just lying on either side of the road. And we go very early, and my father will just climb up the tree when I was just a young child, and he will just pull out the flowers, and we'll be at the bottom to collect them. And when we put it in the puja room, the smell is so beautiful. The fragrance is dense and very intense, but still then it's very attractive. The whole house will be giving that smell. And it's such a lovely and beautiful flower. We call it Nageswari flower because it is there with the lingam inside and the snake covering it. And so
Yes.
what you showed us. So that is actually native to Central and South America.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So you can also find it there in the forests of Central and South America. Amazing.
Yeah.
Right? It's absolutely amazing.
That is native to them, native to that place. And here we have, in my native place also, we have it. And it has those big cannonballs are all around the trunks. And it looks like, it looks like it's going to fire the missiles.
Right. So I think the English gave the name to it as the cannonball flowers. And there is also a beautiful thing that I read. So they planted this flower this tree in the temples, because when the seeds or the fruit, as you might call it, falls down, it gives such a loud sound. It's like dma, that literal cannonball.
It bursts.
So keeps away the thieves from entering the temple premises, is what I learned.
Because of their gold.
It's in full bloom when it is closer to Mahashivratri.
Yes.
So Mahashivratri just comes in another 10 days. February 26th is Mahashivratri. And they say when it is in full bloom, sometimes you might have even 1,000 flowers in one tree.
Yes, because they are very big perennial trees. And during spring, Mahashivratri is in the spring season.
Right.
So that is the right time for them to bloom.
Absolutely.
And it's a sight to behold.
It's absolutely a sight. So if you happen to find these flowers anywhere, think of Markandeya. Yes, Claire, to answer your question, it is the same Markandeya Rishi. So the Rishi Markandeya is supposed to be one of the immortals here, since he was blessed with the 7 to stay 16 for 7 eons. So he's also, the Markandeya Purana is also based on his questions with one of the rishis, is what question and answers with one of the rishis is what I know. So please go read more about Markandeya. And any other questions in the chat? I didn't see anybody else who wants to say.
I think Priyanka? Is that you raising the hand? Yes,
Yes,
please.
Lavanya,
I,
that's not storytelling, that's an entire performance.
yeah, thank you.
And often I have got the suggestion for the Mahamrityunjay jap, and I used to wonder how this is related to health and life. And today, hearing the story, the backstory, makes a lot of sense. So, thank you for the gift. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Priyanka, I would like to add in this that after during COVID, this was the first thing we started playing in
Right.
our homes because that gave us, more strength to go on with the crisis COVID had brought in our lives.
Very true. Very true. And the beauty is, it gives us the acceptance of, death is inevitable. Death is inevitable. But what we say there is give us the understanding that like the gourd comes out of the stem, our soul also will have to give us the strength to accept the fact that our soul will detach from this body, but also it remains immortal. So it's a beautiful shloka to, meditate upon. So I'm truly glad that it came to you all through CSF. So Dr. Eric Miller, like always, million thanks to you for making this happen. So this is my 12th year in CSF. I somehow missed only the first year. But I'm truly grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. So initial years were offline, so maybe that's why you missed out the first year. And it was just started, and it was new for us as well. So yes. Okay, so let's move on to our next teller of the day. Thank you so much, Lavanya, for this wonderful story. A story is like the wind. It comes from a far off place, but you feel it in your heart, and that's what you did it today. So our next teller is Nidhi Bagaria from Mumbai. Nidhi means treasure. Perfectly suits her because she treasures stories from around the world and shares them with warmth and wisdom. Today she brings us The Tiger's Eyelash, a Japanese folktale. What hidden magic lies within something as small as an eyelash? Let's find out from Nidhi. The stage is yours, Nidhi.
Thank you so much, Sheetal. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone all around the world. Sheetal, first of all, a big thank you for searching for the meaning of my name. Nobody has shared that.
Oh,
So, a big thank you. Thanks to Eric for this beautiful platform. So this is, I think, my third year when I'm sharing this story here at the Chennai Storytelling Festival. And it's always a pleasure to listen to all the storytellers. Salome, I really loved your story, very heart-touching. Lavanya, you were exceptional. And I end up learning something every time I listen. So a big thank you for that and the entire team. Yes, as Sheetal said, I would be sharing a folktale from Japan. And when I was doing the research, I read many versions of this story. I also heard a version of the story. And I tried to make it, I added a little bit of my own version to it. And here it goes. This story goes back to a time of the war, when men used to go to war and came back, gaunt and hurt. And this story is of a couple who got married in the summer, who loved each other's company, who shared songs, who sat together to enjoy the sunset. And they spent their time together happily. But soon, in autumn, there was an announcement, and all the men from the village had to go to war. Everyone bid their men a goodbye with a heavy heart, praying that they would come back alive and fine. This woman waited with hope in her heart that nothing will happen to her husband and they will get back to their life again the way they had spent it together. Soon, autumn turned to winter. Winter turned to spring. The woman kept working. She farmed, she grew, and waited with hope, always trying to suppress her fear of what if he doesn't come back? What if something happens to my husband? She tried to make sure that she did not pay attention to the fear and kept herself with hope. Soon, spring turned to summer and summer into another autumn. But still, there was no news of the men coming back. As winter approached and there was thick snow all around, suddenly there was news. The war is over and all the men who are alive are coming back. The family started to rejoice. This young woman was so happy. Of course, there were some who were not going to come back too. But everyone looked forward, hoping that their husband's sons would be back. She started to prepare the favorite food of her husband. She gathered, she cleaned the house and did it up the way her husband loved it. The day came when all the men were back. The families went to greet them. Everyone was so happy to see their men back. The woman went and hugged her husband. But there was something wrong. Something was not right. Her husband was not the same. Soon they went back home and the sun was setting. They went inside and the woman brought out all the dishes she had prepared for him. The husband was completely blank. She offered the food and he just looked at it, picked it up and put it on the side, threw it and ran out. He ran into the barn. The young woman could not understand. What is wrong? Why is my husband behaving this way? She went and knocked at the barn and said, please, open the door, dear husband. Please have something to eat. But he would not open the door. She waited and waited. At last, she went back into the house and sat there, hoping that he would come back into the house. After some time, she saw through the window that he came out of the barn and ran out behind the bushes that grew behind their house. She ran after him, trying to hold him, trying to get him back. But he was very fast. And this happened day in, day out. Every day she would prepare his favorite dish. He would not touch it, run to the barn and then go away. The next morning he would come back. And when the young woman tried to call him, he would run away again. This went on for so many days. One day, when she was running behind him, she stopped herself in her tracks and thought, no, how long can this go on? I need help. I need to seek help and find out what I can do. And she thought, I need to go to the old wise woman who lives below the hills. And so she went to the old wise woman and told her story. The old wise woman was sitting near the fire, and she looked at her. She said, "Yes, my child, I understand. You both are in a lot of pain. But what would you like?" And the young woman said, "Please, I want the things to go back to the way they were. I want my husband who was kind, who was gentle, who always used to respond and talk. I want those conversations. Please, do something. Tell me what I can do. Do you have some medicine?" And the wise woman said, "You cannot expect things to go back to the way they were. Your husband is a different man after the war. You are also not the same woman. Expecting the things to go back as they were would not be right. But you do have a choice. Go forward and see what happens. You can either leave your husband or do something about it." "What? Leave my husband? Are you mad? No ways. Please, give me a potion. Give me some medicine." "Is that what you want?" asked the wise woman. "Then fine. I do have a potion, which I can give you and may help your husband. But unfortunately, I do not have the special ingredient which is important for this potion. It's the tiger's eyelash. Oh, what can we do? Is there some way?" said the young woman. Maybe. "You can get it," said the old woman. "Yes, I will get it. I will do anything for my husband if he can be back to what he was." And so the wise old woman explained everything to her. It is not going to be easy, but the quest will help you. If this is what you want, go. And the young woman took all the things and went off to climb the mountain where the tiger lived. It was winter. It was very cold. She had taken thick soled shoes and carried the things she would need for her quest. She went off and started her steep climb on the mountain. The wind was chilling cold and she would shiver, but she did not give up. She kept walking and walking and walking. But the wind would try and blow her and make her fall. It felt as if the wind was telling her, "Go away. You cannot climb the mountain." But the thought of her husband and them sitting together, watching the sunset, gave her the strength. And she kept telling herself, "I can do it. I can do it. I will do it. I will find a way." And she kept climbing the mountain. Soon the village was far away. And as she looked up, the stars were twinkling and the moon shone bright. It was a beautiful sight, and she admired it. Soon she reached the top of the mountain and saw the cave where the tiger was sleeping. Oh, she had this urge to just run to the tiger and pluck the eyelash and go back. But she knew that she could not do that. The tiger may harm her or may end up just running away. She knew she had to get the trust of the tiger. What could she do? Yes, she had carried some lovely meals with her. And every day she would remove some meal, keep it near the tiger's cave, and she would hide a little far away. The tiger would come out, look around, he would sniff, and he would gobble it up, and he would go inside. The next day, she would do the same. She would put the meals, stand a little near. The tiger would come out, he would sniff and gobble it up, and he would go inside. And this went on for many days. She knew time was running out and she had to do something. Finally, after 15 days, she mustered the courage to go as near as possible to the tiger's cave, kept the meal, and stood rooted there. The tiger came out, he sniffed the meal and gobbled it up and looked, and he saw the young woman standing there. The tiger came near with big eyes and looked at her. The young woman was scared, but she did not move from there. She knew this is her chance. Why are you here, dear lady? And I can see you have been putting food for me. Dear tiger, did you like the food? Yes, but why are you here? I need your eyelash. Please, can you be kind enough to give me your eyelash? I need it for my husband. My eyelash? All right, you have been kind to me and you have respected me by asking what you want. Please take the eyelash right away and never come back over here. Do not disturb my peace. Please take it. And he closed his eyes and moved near to the woman. She plucked the eyebrow as slowly as she could, not to hurt the tiger, and held it in her hands. Thank you, dear tiger. Thank you. And she held the eyelash and ran as fast as she could. She stumbled and hurt her feet, but she kept running as if she had never run before. She hurt her feet and ran and finally reached the wise woman's house. She opened the door without knocking and said, "Look, I got it. I got the tiger's eyelash. I found it." The wise woman looked at her and said, "Welcome. You did it. Well done. Please tell me about your journey. Tell me what happened." And the young woman narrated the entire story of how she reached the top and how she tried and gained the trust of the tiger. Well done, my dear. Well done. And the young woman gave the eyelash in the hands of the old woman. Said, "Please give me the potion so that I can go back to my husband and we can live our life again." The old woman took the eyelash. She looked at it and threw it into the fire. It crackled and burned to ashes. The young woman could not believe her eyes. What did you do? You evil woman! I went to the mountain. I worked so hard. I got this tiger's eyelash and you threw it. You burnt it. You did not want to help me. Stop. It's all right. No, how can I stop? I worked so hard. Stop. It's fine. And the young woman just looked at the wise woman, bereaved, angry, and didn't know what to do. The wise woman said, just the way you were patient with the tiger and you gained his trust, use those lessons with your husband. Now go back to him and do your best. And that's what the young woman did. I would like to end the story with a quote from Dodinsky. The butterfly said to the sun, they can't stop talking about my transformation. I can only do it once in my lifetime. If only they knew they could do it at any time and in countless ways. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my story.
That was a wonderful story, Nidhi. Superb. So tell me one thing, why did you choose to tell this story today?
I think healing is something which is very individual. And sometimes we are very patient with others, but that patience is also very necessary with ourselves. So that is what I felt, that can we do it for ourselves too? Okay.
Absolutely. Superb, superb. Over to you, audience.
Thank you all for listening so patiently.
Yes, Meena.
Beautiful telling, Nidhi. It's the first time I have heard you. And the quote at the end, actually, the butterfly transforms itself only once. But it leaves us with a question whether we can transform ourselves, not in the physical state, but mentally, spiritually, and what we can do with this one life that we have. Good thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Priyanka, over to you.
Thanks, Nidhi, for the story. I had heard the story before, but your narration was an entire journey. And just like Veena ji is saying, the quote that you mentioned in the end, that was really moving. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Sheetal.
Yes, Salome, please.
So, Nidhi, thank you so much for sharing this story. I've heard this story before, but I think your pacing and your pauses were so fabulous that it actually helped create that that environment very I mean beautifully. So yes, thank you for sharing. Very nicely told.
Thank you.
Yes. So, are we ready with our next teller? I'm sorry, just hold on. Somebody's trying to enter. Yes. So, like a story is like a wind, right? It comes from far places, yet it touches us so deeply, right? Our next teller is Priyanka Sagar Maheshwari from Noida. The name Priyanka means beloved, and true to her name, she is deeply cherished in the storytelling world. Fondly known as Pri, she is a passionate theatre artist and a professional storyteller who works closely with schools and colleges, empowering both children and adults. Pri believes that stories don't choose her, she surrenders to the one that call her. Today she brings us The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde, a timeless tale of love, sacrifice and compassion. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Sheetal. Thank you for the kind introduction. And congratulations to all of you. Out of your busy schedule, you all are here for yourself. Today, the story that chooses me is The Happy Prince. So I'll ask all of you to sit back, relax, and see what the story is telling you. High above the city, on a tall column, was the statue of the Happy Prince. His clothes were made of fine, thin gold, and his eyes were made of sapphire. And a huge blood red ruby rested on his sword. One cold night, a swallow bird flew over the city. His friends had already traveled to Egypt almost 6 weeks back. He was late, but now he had decided he is going to flew and flew and flew towards Egypt. He flew over the city the whole day, and at night he reached there near the statue and thought, I must rest tonight. Maybe I'll select this statue. Yeah. So he decided to put himself near the feet of this happy prince. I'm going to have a golden room tonight, he thought to himself. And just as he was putting his head under one of the wings, plop, a drop fell on his head. Ew, what is that? Is it raining? He wondered. And another drop. What is the use of this statue if it can't put me away from the rain? I must look for a chimney pot, he thought, and he decided to flow. And suddenly, you know what he saw? He saw that the eyes of that happy prince statue were filled with tears. And tears ran down the golden cheeks. The face of this statue looked so beautiful in the moonlight that the swallow's heart was filled with pity. Who are you? Asked the swallow. I am the happy prince. Mm-hmm. And why do you cry then? Asked the swallow. When I was alive, I was happy. I used to live in the palace. I knew no tears. No sorrow was allowed inside the palace. And the whole kingdom called me the happy prince. So happy I was. So I lived. And so I died. And now that I'm dead, they've put me here on this tall column. Interesting. Why are you so sad, happy prince? Because, in a soft voice, he continued, because here on this tall column, I can see everything. From this place, I can see the misery and the pity and the suffering of my city. Okay, what do you see, prince? Tell me. There on a little street, in a poor house, there is one woman. You know, her face is all thin and worn, and her hands are red and pores and hard. They've been pricked with needles. She's a seamster, and she's doing embroidery of flowers on a satin gown for a queen's bridesmaid, maybe for the next court ball. But look at that. From that open window, I can see that next to the lady is her son, and he has fever and he's not well. And he's asking his mother for oranges. He's so thirsty. She has no money, swallow. Will you do a favor to me, my friend? Oh, little swallow. Will you take this ruby from my sword? Will you fly and give it? Give it to that lady? Maybe she can buy some oranges for the child. Are you sure, happy prince? Yes, my feet are here in this pedestal. I can't move. Please help me. Okay. So the swallow plucked the ruby and he flew over the city. While he was flying, he saw beautiful marble sculptures on the church. He flew over the river and he saw some lanterns hanging on the ships. And he also saw in one of the balconies one beautiful girl. She came out with her lover and she said, "Oh, I'm going to wear a lovely gown to the ball. And I've given the work to a seamstress. She's going to put some embroidered flowers on it. But I don't understand why these seamstresses are so lazy." The swallow heard everything and finally reached the woman's house. The window was open. It wasn't very difficult for the swallow to enter inside. And he saw that the tired lady was resting on the table. And there near her was the crying son. So you know what the swallow did? He gently flew around the child. He flapped his wings, and the child felt, "My fever must be coming down. I feel so cool." And then he kept the ruby near the thimble of this woman and flew off. That night, he came to the happy prince and said, "Happy prince, it's very curious. It's so cold here, but I feel warm. How is that?" Because you did a good action, my dear friend. Thank you. And so the swallow slept there. Next morning, he went to the river and he started singing, "I'm going to Egypt, I'm going to Egypt." He was very happy. When the moon shone, he came back to the happy prince. "Oh, well, do you have any work in Egypt? I'm leaving for Egypt." "Oh, my dear friend swallow, I know you must go. I know you must go to your friends. But will you just do me one more favor, please? I'm fixed here, but I can see the misery of my town. I have to go, happy prince. My friends, they are in Egypt. They're flying over Nile and they're talking to lotus flowers. I must leave. Just look where I am looking. Far away, in that hut, there is a man and his head is inside some papers. He is trying to write a story. And he's so cold. There is no fire in the grate. He's nearly fainting with hunger. Okay, happy prince, thought the swallow. So you have another ruby? I'm not left with any rubies. But you could pluck one of my eyes. They're made out of sapphire, from India. They were got from India 1,000 years back. Would you pluck one of my eyes and take the sapphire for the playwright, please? Maybe he can buy the wood, maybe he can be warm, maybe he can complete the story. No, 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 I'm not doing that. Happy Prince, do you even know what you're saying? You're asking me to pluck one of your eyes. That's my command. Please swallow. Take one of my eyes and just give it to that poor man. Okay, I'll be here only for one night. And then I will be flying to my friends in Egypt. And so the swallow plucked the sapphire eye and flew till he reached the hut of that poor man. It wasn't difficult to enter the hut because there was one hole in the roof. And so he entered. And that man, he had put his head in his hands. He was sad and he was tired. He had big eyes which were very dreamy but very tired. His lips were red as pomegranate and his hair was brown. And near him, there were withered violets. So the swallow gently placed the sapphire in the withered violets and waited. After some time, that man got up. He rubbed his eyes and he saw that sapphire in the withered violets and he said, "My goodness, I finally have some admiration." Somebody who likes my stories has probably given this gift. Now I'm going to complete the story for the director of theater. Now I'm going to make some money. Yes! And so the swallow happily flew back. He sat on the mast of the ships that night and sang, I'm going to Egypt, I'm going to Egypt. And there he came back to the happy prince. Okay, now I leave for my friends, happy prince. Swallow, my dear friend Swallow, just look at that square down there. Do you see that little match girl? Yeah, so uh, she's managed to put all the matches in the gutter. She's poor, and her father is going to really beat her up, if she doesn't get any money today. Just do me one last favor. Swallow, listen. Take my other eye. Take this sapphire and just give it to the girl. She would not be scolded by her father. Please do that. What are you saying, happy prince? Listen, do you even understand? If I pluck your other eye, you will be blind. What are you doing, happy prince? I can't do that. Swallow, my friend. I can't watch that little girl. Just take the sapphire and give it to her. It's a command. So Swallow plucked the other eye and flew. He swooped past the little girl and rested the piece on her hand. What a shining piece of glass. I'll take this to my father. He will sell it. And happily giggling and laughing, she went away. Now the swallow came back to the happy prince. Happy prince? So you're going to your friends? You're going to Egypt? You are blind now. I can't go. I have to be here for you. And so the swallow decided to stay with the happy prince because he really loved the happy prince. And he used to rest himself here on the shoulder of the happy prince and tell him strange stories of the strange lands that he had flown to. And you know what the happy prince said? It's marvelous, the stories that you tell me of the women and men, dear swallow. But you know what is most marvelous? The misery of people. The greatest mystery is misery. Go, swallow. Fly over my city and tell me, what do you see? And so the swallow told, I look at the rich going richer and making merry. And I see beggars outside their gate. Happy prince, it is so strange. Under that archway of the bridge, I see two boys. They're so cold and they're hungry and they're clinging to each other just because they can keep each other warm. And what is that? The watchman is asking that you can't sit here. He's shoot the boys. Happy prince, what do we do? Swallow, my clothes, you take the leaves of gold and you give to the poor. You please go and help the boys. And so, my dear friends, leaf by leaf, the swallow plucked the gold from the happy prince. The pale white faces of the children started going rosier. We have bread. And with every leaf of gold that was plucked, the happy prince started looking grey and dull. He was blind, but the swallow was rested on his shoulder and telling him stories. And leaf by leaf, every bit of him the happy prince was giving. And then came snow. And after snow came frost. The whole town looked silver with the snow. And the boys with scarlet red caps skied on it. But there's always a but. The swallow couldn't take the cold. Weak in his voice, one last time he managed to come near the shoulder of the happy prince. Happy prince, I have come to say goodbye. Oh, you stayed so long, my dear friend swallow. Now you must fly to your friends in Egypt. No, I'm not flying to Egypt. Happy prince, I'm dying. I'm going to the house of death. Death is a brother of sleep, isn't it? He kissed the happy prince one last time and fell down at his feet. And that moment, something cracked. The lead heart of the statue just cracked into two pieces. Surely that frost was evil, isn't it? Next day, early morning, the mayor with two town councillors came and they looked at the statue. Ew, what an ugly piece. Look at that statue, good for nothing. He's looking all grey and dull, and look at that. Even the ruby is gone from the sword and his eyes are empty sockets. And the town councillors just repeated what the mayor said. Yes, ugly and dull. Yes, ugly and dull. I think we should look at that. There's a dead bird. We must take out a notice that birds are not allowed to die here. Yes, we must take out a notice. Pull down the statue. And so were the orders. So they pulled down the statue because it was no good, because it was not beautiful, because it was not useful for anyone. And the mayor decided to burn it. He put it in a furnace. And you know what? Surprisingly, the whole statue burned, but the lead heart, which was broken into two, just wouldn't burn. So the workers at the furnace decided to throw this lead heart just where the dead swallow lay. Meanwhile, up in the heaven, the god asked the angels to go on earth and get two nicest things. And the angels, they got the lead heart of the happy prince and the dead swallow. You made the right choice. The swallow will sing in my garden of paradise. And this happy prince will be there in my city of love, said God. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful story, Priyanka. Yes, so please tell me, why did you select this story for today?
You know, when I listened to the story, I was puzzled. I had a few questions which I would like to leave the audience with. I want to know, who was the greater giver? The happy prince or the swallow? Also, there is one question that is really coming to me. How many caregivers are there in this entire audience? I'm one. Caregivers to a spouse, to a child, to senior parents. So tell me, have you ever as a caregiver thought, what is the difference between being selfish, selfless, and being self-aware? The story of the happy prince takes me to the role of a caregiver. And I'm really questioning, what is the line between being selfish, self-aware, and selfless? I would love to hear any views on that.
So, Nidhi, I was see your hand raised. Would you like to answer?
Actually, that was the question which Pri asked about the caregivers, so I raised the hand.
Yes, you can please carry on.
I didn't want to answer. Right now, I'm getting into the lift. I might The call might get disconnected. I'm so sorry. I'll connect again.
Sure. Okay.
No worries. By that time, I
Yeah.
want to share something. You know,
Sure.
as a caregiver, I thought I was I was good at my work with all my heart and soul. Till one day somebody told me, Pri, you are pouring from an empty cup. Does that does that invoke any thoughts in you?
Yes, audience.
May I? Hello.
Ina.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Indira. Indira first, go ahead.
Okay.
Indira G.
No, I think she is muted. Indra ma'am, would you like to say something? Yes, Veena, carry on, please.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, Preet, thank you so much for sharing this fantastic story. I remember my school days, and I was thinking I was teaching in class in the middle school, and the lesson plan book in front of me, and all the children, their views, you know. Thank you so much for taking me that journey. And what I'd like to tell you is all the discussion that we had during the story. Oh my God, thank you so much. You took me back to that time. You know, when you ask the question, both the sparrow and the happy prince, I think they demonstrated remarkable generosity, but I feel in different ways. The happy prince gave away his precious possessions, including his ruby, sapphire, and gold, to all those in need. His gifts were tangible and provided immediate relief. But I feel the sparrow, on the other hand, gave the ultimate gift, his life. He sacrificed himself to bring joy and warmth to the happy prince, and his death ultimately led to the happy prince's redemption. Considering the depth of their sacrifices, I feel that the sparrow was the better giver because his selfless act went beyond, I feel, material possessions and demonstrated a profound level of love, loyalty, and devotion. This is what I felt because when you ask this question, I feel so good because we were having these discussions with the children as well, you know, and this is such a classic poignant tale by Oscar Wilde, and it teaches us valuable lessons that really resonates deeply with our lives. Selflessness and sacrifice, compassion, empathy, true beauty and happiness, teaching us that after all, life is temporary. It remains only for a while. But the prince, from his point of view, if you take it, the life that he led, he felt he wanted to give back something. And I feel that way he felt very peaceful. And thank you for telling us about the angels, how they will be there with him in the paradise. Thank you so much. This is what I think, you know.
Lovely.
Thank
Wow.
you, Veena Hassan. Yes, Veena Sitabali also wanted to say. Please, over.
Veena Hassan has well summed it all up for all of us, I would say.
Hi, Veena. It's so good to say hi to another Veena.
We are there in the world, same world, aren't we?
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah, self aware, self care, and what was the third one, Priyanka?
Selfish, selfless, self-aware.
Yes.
If we could just meditate on these words throughout the day and know who we are, at different times of the day we'll be different because of the circumstances and because of the personalities and because of whatever other reasons. Some psychologists, I'm sure they are there here. But yeah, take the best positive things that you can out of the day and be aware of yourself that you have gratitude to Eric Miller for putting this big show on for every year and
I
yeah,
totally agree.
being self-aware of all this and selflessness. I think it's all embodied in this whole storytelling thing. One person has put the story platform, the others are doing the teamwork, and the storytellers are there, even the audience who comes. So I think it's all just beautiful give and take. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Veena. Just before we move on, I want to also highlight what stood out for me was the irony in the story. So, you know, in the end, if you remember, the mayor and the town councils, they say that this statue is good for nothing. He is not beautiful. He's just a little better than a beggar. And none of us know the backstory of anybody. How he became dull and gray. So that was a huge irony where we judge people. Also, that beautiful girl in the balcony with her lover, she's saying that the seamstress is so lazy, not realizing that she doesn't even have the money to buy something for her son. There is so much irony because the prince feels that these leaves of gold will make the people who are living happy. We often believe that gold will bring happiness. So there is a lot of irony which spoke with me. Thank you.
Yes, I was seeing
Uh,
Priya.
yeah,
Yeah,
I,
Priyanka.
I'm reminded of all the statues around that are being pulled down for apparently no reason by all these politicians because they want to have their own way and selfishness and kind of tu meh kind of fight between them. And they should hear stories like this Happy Prince, especially being related by Priyanka, and then they would take a lesson, I'm sure. Of course, we are all listening, but those who need to listen are these politicians, I feel. Hmm? So I don't know how far this will work, but there we are. Hmm? And Lavanya's story also I enjoyed. Markandeya is such a well-known name, but the way she has brought out the story, oh, it was wonderful. Thank you so much, all the storytellers, in fact. Hmm.
Thank
I'd love to listen more. In the next one more weekend we have?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
yes. Priyamda, please. Yes.
Yeah, I love the enchanting ways in which Pri nearly took us there to the prince. And of course, taking a lot, I'm taking a lot with me when I hear the story. Of course, to answer your question, Pri, that's a lot of introspection that happened with the story. Prince was a lot compassionate because he just did not see the beggar. He just did not see the girl. He saw those people beyond their problems, beyond their poverty. And it was not just help that he offered, he also saw infinite possibilities in that storyteller who was writing. And about the self awareness that you spoke about, I saw that beautiful love between the prince and the bird, and intertwining it with the self awareness that you talk about. I think what I'm taking home from your story is that when you consciously love someone, the conscious love between the bird and the statue, when you consciously, with all your awareness, you love someone, then you never fall in love. You always rise in love. And that was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. So, um, from Priya's story, I would say words have the power to paint emotions, and stories have the power to heal hearts. So, thank you all for being here today, sharing this beautiful Sunday morning with our performances. A storyteller doesn't just tell a story, they breathe life to it. With their voice, expressions, and emotions, they create a world where we don't just listen, we see, we feel, and live the story. In these moments, we travel across time and space to lands unknown, meeting characters who stay with us long after the story ends. So now we have Jasmina Alexandria Zilijet from Croatia, and she is going to do a storytelling and also a workshop linked with the storytelling. So over to you, Eric.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sheetal. You did such a wonderful job hosting.
Thank
And
you.
Pri, thank you for the beautiful story.